Good morning. Thank you. It's 9 o'clock. Today is Monday, March 30th of 2015. Fellow callers, Mr. Chairman, partners, members of the Executive Committee, members of the Board of Governors, and guests. Welcome to Springfield, Missouri, and the 42nd CALLERLAB Convention. We are very pleased you are here with us this week. If there's anything wrong in the hotel with your room other than your partner, let me know. Better yet, let the staff know. Please make sure your cell phones are either off or set to silent. Before we start, I would like to introduce the folks that have worked hard to make this great convention for you, as well as contribute to your day-to-day operations, the home office staff. First, I would like to thank my wife, Dana. I feel so privileged. She may not, but we're basically together 24/7. Also, Royce Dent, many of you know, and she's back there. Unfortunately, our newest office employee, Joe Dean, who we call her JoJo, Romano, is fighting a severe cold and wasn't able to come with us this week. We're very fortunate also to have with us again this year 4 volunteers that have really pitched in and helped us well. Tom and Cindy Hollenberger, and Dennis and Judy Grossnickel. And there are countless other people who have helped out too from our members and partners. Thank you all too. It is now my pleasure and privilege to present the CALLERLAB Chairman of the Board, Barry Clasper.
Thank you, Dana. You have no idea how glad I am to see that this microphone doesn't have a gooseneck holder. Those of you who were here last year will know what I'm talking about. I'd just like to echo Dana's welcome. Thank you all for coming to the 42nd CALLERLAB Convention. I hope you enjoyed the brisk walk over from the other building. That was to wake you up before we start our session, because later in the program we're going to have a brainstorming session right towards the end of the program. But I'm going to tell you something about it now, because we'd like you to sort of have it percolating in your minds as we move through the early part of the program, and so that as things occur to you, you can actually start writing them down. So I'm going to explain how this works. So the purpose of our brainstorming session is to try and come up with ideas that will help square dancing, whatever you conceive the word help to mean. It can mean a lot of things, but we're looking for your thoughts on what might help to make things better. Don't be afraid to think out of the box or even be silly. Sometimes a silly idea spurs somebody else to come up with an idea that isn't as silly. But don't be vague. So if you write something down like get more dancers on the floor, that isn't too helpful. If you write something down like contact your local homeschooling groups to see if you can interest them in square dance programs, which is something that I know is going on in a lot of areas, because those groups are typically looking for ways that they can engage their kids in social activities, because they don't get the normal school environment available to do that. So that would be a more specific thing that somebody could get their teeth into. Improvements can be any aspect of square dancing, but please keep our CALLERLAB mission statement in mind, which is to foster the art of square dance calling and improve caller skills. And we adopted that 2 years ago? Last year? 2013. And the idea of having that nice succinct mission statement is so you can kind of keep that in the front of your brain as you're working on things and ask yourself, does this idea have anything to do with that? Falling out of that mission statement, you may remember we established a first priority that's probably going to be our first priority for quite a time, which is how do we get more dancers on the floor? because you can't foster the art of square dance calling if there are no dancers on the floor. So those are kind of our twin focuses. So as you're thinking up ideas, ask yourself, does this enhance, work towards either of those statements? So we've talked about a lot of the ideas that probably immediately come into your head. They can be around recruiting, they can be around retention, getting younger dancers or callers on the floor, caller training, working with beginners, competition, music. All of the sort of normal things are still in play. You're free to make suggestions along those kinds of lines, but feel free to think out of the box. Don't limit your thinking to that. We're looking for new, novel ideas. So whatever new comes to you, just put it in the mix. Now, here comes the logistical part. We need each table to appoint a team leader. So start thinking about who would be an appropriate team leader. It doesn't need to be the smartest person at the table. Their main function is going to be to get up and walk to another table at some point. So anybody that you think can manage that will do nicely. So don't go doing it right now, but think about, as we start this, we're going to have a team leader appointed to carry on later. You will find on your table a stack of index cards. And I had one here and I've lost it already. Oh, there it is. So they look sort of like this. And on one side they have name in one corner and table number in the other. So the idea is that when you've got an idea, write it down on the index card, write your name where it says name, because as we collect these and start tabulating the ideas, we want to be able to go back and ask questions. If, looking at the idea, we need more information or we can't figure out what you're talking about, we want to be able to go back to you and get that information. And also write your table number on the right side. That's going to be important later. And I'll give you the rest of the information as we start the actual brainstorming session about what we're going to do with these cards. If an idea occurs to you while the rest of the session is going on, feel free to grab a card and write it down before it escapes. Am I not loud enough? I'm almost never told I'm not loud enough. Just ask my wife. So feel free, as we're talking, if something occurs to you, to go ahead and write it down on a card. We won't consider that to be rude. Okay, when you're writing your ideas, remember somebody else has to be able to read it and understand what you mean. So don't be too cryptic, no abbreviations or jargon. Just try and write a clear but very concise description of what your idea is. Okay, so that's what's going to happen at the end of the session. So we will now proceed with our regularly scheduled programming. So each year we invite representatives from various national and international dancing organizations to join us for our convention. We are honored that many of them have accepted our invitation and are here with us today. I would like to introduce them at this time. As I introduce you, would you please stand and remain standing to be recognized as I call your names? Please hold your applause. If you could see the list of names that I've got here to read, believe me, you'd want to save your palms. So please hold your applause until I've introduced all of these people. Representing CALLERLAB, Roy and Betsy Gata, chairman. They're way at the back there. I was going to say that wasn't intentional, Roy, that you're way at the back. Representing the National Executive Committee, Lee and Barbie Ashwill, General Chairman of the 54th National Square Dance Convention. I saw, there she is, down at the back. And also attending from the National Executive Committee are Louis and Nancy Friedlander from the 60th National Square Dance Convention, and Wayne and Laura Wade from the 63rd National Square Dance Convention. Representing the United Square Dancers of America, Jim Weber. Representing the 64th National Square Dance Convention in Springfield, the upcoming one, Len and Connie Houle. up here at the front. Representing the 65th National Square Dance Convention in Des Moines, Jim and Janet Winslow. Representing the 67th National Square Dance Convention in Kansas City, Carl and Cindy Boone. And representing the Guild of Pride, Sharon Frank, the Executive Director. And please, now you can applaud. Thank you all for coming. And for all our members, when you see somebody wearing one of these VIP badges, please be nice to them. Each year we have several CALLERLAB members who represent other organizations. We are pleased that these members volunteer to provide representation for these other organizations. I would like to introduce them at this time. Would you please stand and remain standing to be recognized as I call your names? You know the drill. Hold your applause. For the arts, the Alliance for Round and Traditional and Square Dance, Betsy and Roy Gata, presidents. They're still at the back. Also representing the arts is Jerry and Dell Reed, the executive secretary, and Jim and Judy Taylor for the reimaging project. European Callers and Teachers Association, ECTA, Don Casper, and Walt Burr. International Association of Gay Square Dance Clubs, Chris Jensen. There she is. Japan Square Dance Association, Hiroshi Nakagawa. The Square Dance Callers Club of Great Britain, Trevor and Chris Day. American Square Dance Magazine, Bill Boyd. And representing the Lloyd Shaw Foundation, Bob Riggs. Okay, now you may applaud. That was the end of the list. It's actually gratifying to see how many of our members are plugged into other organizations that are related to us. You know, it shows how much of an impact we have on the general community. All right, if you are attending your very first CALLERLAB convention, please stand. Theoretically, there are 25 of you. Stay standing. Stay standing. So please identify yourself, wave your arms or something like that as I call your name. And again, all our members who are not first-timers, when you see that first-time badge, be nice to them. So they sat down. Well, now you'll have to stand up again when I call your name. Oz. He goes by one name, sort of like Prince or Madonna. You know. Lanny and Cheryl Beam. Carl and Cindy Boone. Scott Brown and Lisa Minton. Sean Brown. Stephen Chauvin, did I get that right? Ted Clements and Karen Patterson. Dave Eno. Bob Farnell. Beth Foster. Bruce Holmes. Ronald and Eva Keeling. Wayne and Tracy Lorenzen. Hiroshi Nakagawa. Robin Reagan. Lincoln Sigmund. Jed Sigmund. Sandy Skinner. Jack and Lois Snyder. Kenton Sullivan. Diane Svitak. Judy Tumbleson. Michael Turley and Andrith Davis. David Waller. And Jim and Janet Winslow. So we hope you'll enjoy your very first CALLERLAB convention. Let's give them all another big hand. On a personal note, I'm really glad to see Wendy Wilcox here with us today. Are you in the room, Wendy? She might have just... There she is down at the back. Glad you could be with us. If you've attended at least 5 CALLERLAB conventions, please stand. So this year, the Executive Committee has chosen to shorten the standing time, because especially the people at the end are getting old enough that that's a big issue. So we're shortening the standing time by listing the attendance in 5-year increments until we get to the very end. So please remain standing until the number I read exceeds your years of previous attendance. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 41, 42. So those remaining standing have been to every single CALLERLAB convention. So standing were Jim Mayo, who was over on the left, and he's already sat down, and John Jones, who's already sat down. Don't you guys know the drill yet? No. Now, he's a little faint and you can't see him, but Melton Luttrell is actually standing as well. Unfortunately, due to a family emergency of sorts, he couldn't get here on time for the opening session, but he will be here later. So we count him as still being here. So Melton is also still attending every single CALLERLAB convention. On this 42nd anniversary of CALLERLAB, we're also very pleased to have 7 members with us who have served as chairman of the board. Please hold your applause until I've read all the names. Jim Mayo, who served from 1975 to 1977 and 2001 to 2002. Gee, he's not going to stand up. John Jones, who served from 79 to 81. Mike Seastrom from 92 to 94. Tim Crawford from 2004 to 2006, my fellow Canadian, who got here with great anguish. Ask him to tell you the story of how he got through the airport this time. Tim Mariner, who served from 2006 to 2008 and 2010 to 2011. John Marshall from 2008 to 2010. And Elmer Sheffield from 2011 to 2013. Okay, is he here? And finally, of the 117 callers who attended the 1974 convention, 42 years ago, 5 are with us today. Would you please stand and be recognized as I call your names? Cal Campbell, John Jones, Lee Kopman, Melton Luttrell, again, he's a little faint, but he's standing, and Jim Mayo. So let's give them all a big hand. So at this time, we'd like to take a moment to honor members who passed away in the past year. CALLERLAB wishes to honor those CALLERLAB members who have passed away since 2014 CALLERLAB convention. During their lives, each contributed to the square dance activity and to CALLERLAB. Please take time during the convention to remember them and their families. Laurie Morin, Rhode Island, joined CALLERLAB in 1991. Darrell Holder, Indiana, joined CALLERLAB in 1982. Chris Pinkham, New Hampshire, joined CALLERLAB in 1992. Danny Wilkerson, Florida, joined CALLERLAB in 2006. Kathy Eberhardt, New York, joined CALLERLAB in 2013. And V. Wayne Thompson, Montana, joined CALLERLAB in 1988. This list represents individuals for which the Home Office has been notified of their passing. If we have missed anyone, please accept our apologies. Let's all stand for a moment of silence to recognize those callers and partners who are no longer with us. Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, I'd like to introduce the newly elected and re-elected members of the board. Would the newly elected board members come forward as I call your name? So there's a little gathering area up here that you can gather in. Bob Asp from Illinois. Way at the back. Scott Bennett from Oklahoma. Scott Byers from California. Mike Callahan from New York. Justin Russell from Tennessee. And would the board members who were re-elected to a 3-year term please come forward? John Marshall from Virginia, Jim Mayo from New Hampshire, Jerry Reed from Florida, and me, and I don't have to go anywhere. Okay. As I introduce the incumbent members of the board, I'd ask them to stand in place and then join in the taking of the oath of office when Dana administers it. Clark Baker from Massachusetts, Bill Boyd from Florida, Walt Burr from Germany, Cal Campbell from Colorado, Wade Driver, Texas, Betsy Gotta, New Jersey, Patty Green, North Carolina, Bill Harrison, Maryland, Eric Hennerlaw, California, Mike Hogan, Nebraska, Jerry Justin from Texas/Canada. He can't make up his mind. Deborah Carroll Jones, Texas. Vernon Jones, Texas. Tim Mariner, South Carolina. Bear Miller, Colorado. Tom Miller, Pennsylvania. Bob Pointer from Florida. Ken Ritucci, Massachusetts. And Dottie Welsh from Canada. Well, actually from Nova Scotia, since we're going by states and stuff. This year, one board member cannot be with us, Larry Cole from Indiana. So do I introduce the retiring from the board before the oath or after the oath?
Why don't we do that after?
Okay.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Accept this position of trust as a serious responsibility and pledge my services during my term on the CALLERLAB Board of Governors. I will put the welfare of my fellow members before my personal feelings. I will support the decision of the majority and abide by the CALLERLAB Code of Ethics. All this I pledge as we support of the ideals of CALLERLAB. Congratulations, Board.
I'd just like to announce that there are, this year, 4 members of the board are retiring from the board as of this convention. Cal Campbell from Colorado, Larry Cole from Indiana, Wade Driver from Texas, and Tim Mariner from South Carolina. Appreciation Awards. The CALLERLAB Appreciation Awards were first presented at Virginia Beach in 1992 and have been presented at every convention since that time. It is presented to show CALLERLAB's appreciation for volunteer work in support of CALLERLAB. The award reads, in grateful appreciation of your dedication and service to CALLERLAB by giving unselfishly of your time, energy, and knowledge to support the goals and ideals of CALLERLAB. This year, the appreciation awards were delivered with the convention packets.
They will be delivered later.
You mean the script is wrong? Go see her. Much of the work of CALLERLAB is done by our committees. Dedicated committee chairman and vice chairman are people who make it happen with the committee structure. Some of the recipients could not attend the convention and their certificate will be mailed to them. Your executive committee has approved presenting appreciation awards to outgoing committee chairman and vice chairman. I will ask each award recipient to stand. Bear Miller, chairman of the Mainstream Committee. Stephen Cole, vice chairman of the Mainstream Committee. Patty Green, vice chairman of the Women in Calling. John Jones, chairman of the Application Review Committee. Deborah Carroll Jones, Women in Calling. And Wade Driver, chairman of the Music Producers. Oh, there's more. Oh, I see. That isn't a person. Buddy's a person, but what I'm reading isn't a person. Buddy Weaver, vice chairman of Music Producers. The following were not able to attend this convention: Ron Marcus, vice chairman, caller training. So let's give them a big round of applause for these outgoing officers. And please note that many of them are just outgoing one position to go into another position. So these are people who really dedicate their time to our organization. We really appreciate it. The idea of CALLERLAB conducting the caller training sessions at the National Convention was first proposed to the National Executive Committee at Anaheim in 1976. Plans were already in place for 1977 in Atlantic City and in 1978 in Oklahoma City. The first CALLERLAB training seminars were held in Milwaukee in 1979. CALLERLAB has staffed these seminars since that time. Last year in Little Rock, Arkansas was the 35th year CALLERLAB has provided caller training seminars at the National Square Dance Convention. CALLERLAB would like to recognize our members who have given of their time to help with these popular and important sessions at the 61st National Square Dance Convention in Spokane, Washington. I will ask the award recipients to stand and remain standing when I read your name. Paul Hinsey, Walt Burr, Jerry Story, Ken Ritusi, and Betsy Gata. Two other coaches were not able to attend this convention: Tony Oxendine and Doug Davis. Let's give them a big hand. CALLERLAB and the Foundation had a vendor booth at the 61st National Square Dance Convention in Little Rock, Arkansas. The home office was very ably assisted by Roy Stent and Dana Schirmer. She's gone. We had requested members attending the convention to help out if they were attending the convention. What it says. Several members did stop in at the booth to help. I will ask the award recipients to stand and remain standing when I read your name. Walt Burr, Bill Ackerman, Tom and Cindy Hollenberger, Dottie Welch, Bob Worley, Doug Davis, Brian and Debbie Freed, Bob Pointer, Scott and Aaron Byers, Ken Ritusi, Patty Green, Betsy and Roy Gata, Lawrence Johnstone. The following were not able to attend this convention: Bob Rollins, Mike Huddleston, Henry Grissett, and Sharon Golden. Again, could we have a round of applause for these people who volunteered their time? At this time, I would like to introduce Mike Seastrom and ask that he come to the podium. Figures he's at the back.
Thank you, Barry. How many like the fact that we get to sit different places and with different people at this opening session? I like this idea. You know, just before the 2009 CALLERLAB convention, Bill Hyman published a document called Illegal Music Copying. This document came in our registration packet, as many of you might remember, and created quite a bit of discussion at that committee, or at that convention. The CALLERLAB Executive Committee, at the request of the Board of Governors, formed a Music Ethics Committee in direct response to this article. Now, the Music Ethics Committee had Paul Bristow as its chairman, Wade Drivers as vice chairman, and also along with members like Buddy Weaver, Jerry Reed, Jerry Junk, Roy Gata, and myself. And if I've missed anybody, I apologize. But basically, we worked for several years to provide educational sessions and discussion forums at our annual convention And we came up with an initiative that can go a long way in helping callers, cuers, line dance and clogging instructors, and anyone else who uses music for entertainment to be ethical and acquire and manage the music they use in teaching and entertaining the right way. Now, the committee proposed forming a Guild of Pride, professional, recorded, instrumental, digital entertainer. This independent and self-administering organization could be joined by anyone using music for teaching and entertaining. The late Tom Dillender researched the issue even deeper and gave us some of the information that we needed on even a more finer basis on concerning acquiring, organizing, transferring, and using music in the digital medium. As a result of all this work and effort, the Guild of Pride was launched last year. The Guild of Pride's mission is to proclaim, promote, and practice the most ethical and legal methods of acquiring, maintaining, and protecting one's ownership in the music that they use. Membership in the Guild is voluntary, it's by invitation only, and it's a very nominal fee for its operation in an independent organization. There's a two-step process to join the Guild. The first step is to simply support the mission, as I just previously mentioned, going forward. All members will receive a membership card, be listed in the Guild's website as a responsible digital entertainer, and are encouraged to invite their peers to also join. Upon completion of the first step, members can begin on their own timeline to the process of reviewing all the music that they personally use in teaching and entertaining to be certain that the artists and the producers responsible for its creation and distribution have been properly and completely compensated. Permanently maintaining one's music with this standard qualifies the member for an elite status. Elite members receive a complimentary lapel pin and are also listed on the website as an elite member. The Guild of Pride begin by inviting callers or callers and cuers and line dance instructors and round dance cuers, anyway, to be charter members. The charter members were to join and extend membership and invitations to their peers and their fellow colleagues. The executive director of the Guild is with us at this convention. I'd personally like to introduce her. For those of you who don't already know her, I know she was introduced previously, but it's Sharon Frank from St. Louis, Missouri. How about a nice hand for Sharon? She's done an awful lot of work in the forming stages. I'd like to invite all teachers and entertainers who use recorded music in any form at this convention to join the Guild of Pride. Please see Sharon in the registration area for sometime during this convention. And if you have any further questions, please check out the website at www.guildofpride.org or come to our Birds of Feathers session today at 5:15 in the Texas room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, it's brainstorming time. So, here's the way it's going to work. You've all been scribbling while I've been talking, right? Nobody listens when I talk. So, when I say go, your first job for about 10 minutes or so is to write down whatever ideas you think you've come up with on an index card. Each person can write as many index cards as they want. On each one, put your name and your table number at the indicated spots. After about 10 minutes or so, we're going to ask you to, as a table, review the ideas that your whole table has come up with and pick the 3 that you like the best. Now, the ones that aren't picked aren't going to be lost because we'd like you to leave your cards on the table when you're done. We're going to collect them all. Every single idea will be captured. So don't feel that it's a waste of your effort if you don't get picked as one of the top 3 for your table. When you've picked the top 3, we'd like you to rank them. You know, your favorite is number 1, the next is number 2, the next is number 3. On the back of the card that describes that idea, the team leader, remember him, her, writes your table number and the ranking of this idea that your table awarded it. Okay, so that's all you need to know for now. Go. So I'm getting the sense that the best ideas have already been written down. So if you want to start, if you haven't already, discussing the ideas that have come out of your table and picking which ones you would like to present as your best three. Take another 5 minutes to do that. So how are you doing with the ranking? Have you got your three best ideas? One more minute. Oh, well, that wasn't the idea. Circle the idea that the card represents that. A separate card for each idea. Well, some ideas are huge. Okay, it's time to move on to the next phase of our little exercise here. So I would like each table's team captain. You need another minute? All righty then, one more minute. Now hear this. Now hear this. Time's up. So I'd like each team lead to take the three ideas that your table is offering as your three best ideas, and I'd like the team leads to line up along that wall with your ideas in hand. So please, now, go. Come on, team leads, let's go. Hut, hut, hut. Really like to see a few more team leads up against the wall there. Don't worry, there's... I was going to say, don't worry, there will be no gunfire. How many are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Need 10 more. Okay. What do we got? One more? 5 more? Okay, we got all the team leads up. Okay, attention please. Could I have your attention please? So here's what's going to happen at this point. You will hear some music start to play. When the music starts, the team leads will wander amongst the tables, avoiding their own table. When the music stops, sit down at the nearest table. And once you're there, explain the three ideas you've got with you to that table, and we're going to ask each table to put their rating on those three ideas. Okay, everybody clear? You ready? Okay, we have a table up here that's missing somebody. We got any other, sort of like trying to fill in squares, right? We need somebody up here. So for the next 5 minutes, the team lead who arrived at your table will explain the three ideas they brought with them and ask the table to rank those ideas against one another. So we'll get a second set of rankings on the ideas. Okay. Could I have your attention, please? So our intention was to run another iteration of this so you could watch them march some more. But since it took the team leads so long to line up against the wall the first time, we don't really have time to run another iteration. So when the session is closed, which will be another 4 or 5 minutes, we'd ask the team leads who have got the three ideas that they brought to the table and now have rankings from the new table there as well, to deliver those three cards to Dana as you leave. So that way we know which cards were being considered the favorites of at least some tables. All the other cards, please leave them on your table. We will collect them all. They will all be looked at. Every single idea will be read. What we're going to do is we're going to tabulate the ideas, at least the ones that have ranks on them, and we're going to start a discussion for the rest of the convention around those ideas. So the ideas will be posted on Facebook. They will also be posted on flip charts out near the registration area. So we're trying to encourage people to use the electronic media, to use Facebook. It'll be a normal Facebook discussion kind of thing. For those of you who would like to do that, we'd really like to see a lot of people doing that. The name of the group to look for is CALLERLAB Convention Brainstorming Session. If you do a find on Facebook of CALLERLAB Convention Brainstorming, you will get it. If you're not already a member of that group, and 100 or so of you already are members, because we started signing people up before the convention, if you're not already a member, then just ask to join. Somebody will authorize you, hopefully quickly. If you're not sure if you don't have a Facebook account and you don't mind creating a Facebook account, but you're not sure how, come and see somebody in the office. They'll be happy to take you through it. If you don't have a laptop but you don't mind going on to Facebook, again, we will have an extra laptop or two available in the home office that you can try. There's also a business center in the hotel that you could use to log on. If you don't have your own laptop and you're unhappy with using your laptop for this purpose, find a buddy who doesn't mind you looking over their shoulder. Either you can use their laptop to log on if you don't mind having an account, but you don't have a laptop. But anyway, we're hoping you can find a way to Facebook and to that group. So the top, we haven't really picked a number yet. We'll have to see kind of what comes out of all this tabulation. But the top 5 or 6 or 7 kind of ideas will be there, available for discussion thread kind of discussion. And of course, you can like them if you want to kind of vote that, yeah, that's your favorite idea. For people who would prefer not to go that route, as I said, there will be flip charts outside the registration area where you can see the idea on a whiteboard beside the flip chart, and you can write your comments against that idea on the flip chart. If you write comments, again, we ask you to put your name on them. So again, the purpose is if you've got a comment that later on in reading it we would like to get more information about it, or it's confusing, we want to find out what you meant, we can go back and find you. Okay, what have I missed here? So what we're going to do is tabulate these results at the end of the convention, because the tabulation is going to take a long time. We're not going to be able to sort of report a result. We'll be able to report kind of how much activity we got against this and how many neat ideas came out of it. But we won't be able to publish a whole result before the end of the convention. There's just too much computing work required to do that. So we will be publishing that over time on the website following the convention. We're kind of hoping we might be able to do like one a week or something like that. One idea a week. This came out, let's discuss this one for a while and see how it goes down. The objective is to try and create a way for the community to discuss some of these ideas so that we can get a sense of what the highest leverage things we can do are, and where we have the highest agreement that this is something that we can do. So, have I forgotten anything? Okay. So now I'd like to welcome Dana back to the podium to give you a couple of last-minute administrative items.
Thank you, Barry. I'm going to get in my apology stool, I guess, the best way to say it. Every year I make a few mistakes. And I want to really take a moment and apologize. If David and Ruth Fullaway would stand up. Ruth here? There she is. Their president of the president of USA West contacted me and asked me to make sure I noted that they were representing USA West. Give them a hand, the USA West representative, David and Fullaway. They came a long ways for this. I also want to apologize to those people that were sitting at the bar last night when the bar said we're closing at 10 o'clock. that was not what we had instructed the hotel to do. It was supposed to stay open until at least midnight. And I have already had a few words with the hotel staff this morning. The bar should be open at least twice tonight till midnight. Tomorrow night we will have a country western dance with a cash bar that will be in it all night. So hopefully you'll be able, even if the bar closes early, you should be able to get drinks at the country western dance. All night long. We have had one request for a bird of the feather that's not on the direction for this afternoon at 5:15. Stephen Cole has asked to have a bird of the feather on the basic ad hoc committee, and that'll be in Kansas B at 5:15. At 5:15, Kansas B for the basic ad hoc. If you wore a blue jacket by the Ways and Means with a nice flannel insert there, you left it there. If you want to sell it, we'll sell it, but I don't think you want us to do that. That's a nice jacket. Auction it off. If you have not yet bought your chance at the Hilton 220 package, we only have about 25 tickets left, maybe less than that, of that whole series. They're going down fast. So, it depends on how fast those remaining 25 sell. If we can sell them before lunch, we may come out with another set for another drawing. Paul has said he would do another drawing if there was interest. So, if there's an interest and there's a lot of people wanting to buy extra tickets for another set, we would have a possibility of setting up another drawing for another ticket. Okay. With that, we thank you for coming. The beverage break will be in the convention lobby area, in the registration area. Remember, lunch, your first lunch will start at 11:45. It will be a buffet. And your badge is your meal ticket. No badge, no food, no exception. Thank you all for being here.